Hi folks, Thomas Henson here with thomashenson.com, and today is another episode of Big Data, Big Questions. And so today is a very special episode. We're going to talk a little bit more about regulation than we probably talked about before. And so we're actually going to tackle the GDPR and what that means for big data analytics, and really why data engineers and even data scientists should understand the regulation and kind of know it at least from a high level. So find out more right after this. So welcome back. So today is a special episode. We're going to talk about the GDPR, which is the General Data Protection Regulation. And we're going to talk about what that means for a data engineer and why you should understand that. So just to kind of a high level overview, this is going to be one of those things where understanding this regulation is really going to help you. You know, you're going to have meetings about it. This is such a big change for our industry. And so when we think about it from an IT perspective or big data perspective, think of changes that have happened in other industries. So think of like what happened in the U.S. with the SEC, you know, and accounting around Enron and some of the other, you know, financial accounting problems that happened in the early 2000s. And then also think about healthcare. So healthcare regulation is, you know, if you know anything about healthcare, you probably know at least the HIPAA requirement. And so this GDPR is going to be similar to that. Now it is taking place in the EU, but the ramifications are going to happen, I believe, everywhere because one, you know, data kind of exists everywhere, right? Most companies are all global companies, and you know the way that we handle and capture that data, you know, whether it be, you know, from a user in the EU or a user, you know, anywhere else in the world, we're going to have to, you know, have those regulations and have those systems in place so that we can comply to that. So just from a kind of a high level too, if you're a data engineer, you know, and we focus on, you know, the technology and the hardware, but for non-technical careers, so remember, we've talked about this before, so some of these non-technical careers, we talk about data governance and other places. If you're interested in that, get head first, dive into, you know, the General Data Protection Regulation, find out as much as you can because that's really going to make yourself, one, valuable in the meetings, but also if you're looking for, you know, to do a career change, maybe you're already doing some kind of compliance or something like that and you want to get involved in big data, here's your opportunity, right? Become an expert at this because, I mean, we're moving fast to have to comply. And so just to kind of talk a little bit about it. So it's, you know, the EU agreement on how data is processed and stored, and it's a replacement for the Data Protection Directive 9546. And so this is a more stringent, more all-encompassing. And so you're probably like, okay, why are we going down this route? Why is there regulation coming out? If you think about it, I mean, a lot of things have been happening over the last few years. I mean, how often do we hear about a data breach? There was a huge one last year, right? Affecting millions and millions of users. You know, people's credit card, people's social security numbers. I mean, our data is constantly under attack, right? And it's, you know, from a big data perspective, we hold on to data so that we can analyze it and make, you know, better products, you know, make more efficient products, make better websites, you know, better click-through rates on your ads. I mean, there's so many different things that we do with this data, but also there's so much danger in having it, right? You know, we have to make sure that we're protecting it. And then also, we want to make sure from a privacy perspective, and this is kind of where this is really going to hit, is allowing users to opt in or opt out, right? So, you know, knowing what's being collected and how long they're going to have it, and then also giving you the ability to say, you know what, let's get rid of that data, right? You know, I don't want you holding on to it. And so those are some of the things that you're going to be tackling with it. Also, just as a note, right? So it was approved on April 14th, 2018. Must be complied with by May 25th. So we've got some time here, you know, between it, and that's where I'm really encouraging people. And even if you're watching this video after the date, you're wanting to get in big data, you know, on the governance side, maybe have non-technical career options. Learn this. I'm serious. Just learn this. This is going to be huge. You're seeing, you know, if you follow anything from Hortonworks or Cloudera, or you know anybody involved in big data or even IT. You're getting bombarded with information about it because it's such a big deal. And then, you know, the compliance on this, like I said, it's industry shifting, you know, just like HIPAA was, and just like some of the SEC regulations and accounting regulations that came out in the early 2000s. So if you're looking for, I've got the official site listed here so you can see where to go, you know, from the EU and see it. But like I said, you're going to see a ton of blog posts. There's a ton of resources out there. Some of the tools, so if you're on the technical side and you're wondering, okay, I've got to go into a meeting, you know, if somebody's going to ask me, you know, what we're doing about, some of the data governance and some of the other pieces, where can I focus, or where can I say, hey, what, give me a week or two, let me look at some of the things maybe you weren't doing, maybe the way that you're protecting the data is a little bit different, maybe the way that you're tracking and holding on to the data so that you can comply by getting rid of users' data or opting not to track it, or even using a way to mask it, right? Using a way so that you can mask it so you're protecting the identities a little bit better. Maybe some of those are some of the weak points that you are. Look into Apache Atlas, Apache Ranger, and Cloudera Navigator. So depending on the flavor of the Hadoop framework you're using, or Hadoop package you're using, so whether it be Hortonworks or Cloudera, if you're using one of those two main ones, look into these two tools, these three tools right here. This will give you just some kind of framework, so you're starting to. So you walk into the meeting, somebody says, hey, we've got to look at how we're complying with GDPR. We want to really focus on data governance. What are we doing, right? And you're sitting there saying, I don't know how to tackle this, right? If you're not doing it, go know these tools. Just understand them from a high level. If you need to implement them, it's a whole different story, right? You can start getting trained up and start implementing those too. So hope this was very helpful. So this is something that I'm sure we will make some more videos on. We'll be talking about constantly. I predict that, this is kind of, like I said, industry shifting regulation for IT, and especially for big data for all of us. And so I'm sure there's going to be follow on. I'm sure other countries, and other areas, they're starting to look at regulations. I'm sure here in the U.S., I'm sure, Russia, Japan, I'm sure everywhere they're starting to look at some of these regulations. So it's not going to be just for the EU. And even if it was, it's still affecting us, right? Because everything's global. So if you have any questions, make sure you put them in the comment section here below. I will answer them here on Big Data Big Questions. You can go to my website, thomashenson.com, look for the big questions, send me a comment. Also, make sure that you're subscribing so that you never miss an episode, and I will see you next time.